Make no mistake, people who want to take your guns are planning to do something to you that'll make their nefarious jobs a lot easier and safer if Americans were disarmed.
Meetings like this are happening across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Citizens concerned about gun restrictions coming from the state's newly empowered Democrats are taking action to protect their Second Amendment rights.
It is sad that here in Virginia it has come to this with the great history of our state.
It was a Virginian, James Madison, who wrote the Second Amendment. But the 1,500 people who showed up to this Shenandoah Valley meeting want their local leaders to declare their county a Second Amendment sanctuary.
How about instead of begging your leaders to please make the state a Second Amendment sanctuary, you just tell them they can do whatever they want. Nobody's taking your guns or violating your rights, period. This is the mental disease of authoritarianism in action and displayed for your very eyes. You have a stadium full of people being pushed around and reduced to begging by a small number of mini tyrants. It's truly pathetic.
That's because they fear law-abiding gun owners will soon find themselves on the wrong side of the law.
We're actually going to be a sanctuary county, unlike your sanctuary cities that are literally violating federal laws, where we're just trying to protect people's rights.
Haven't we learned by now that you don't protect individual rights by begging psychopaths to please respect our rights? You do it by banding together and rising up against anybody who would be immoral and stupid enough to do to others what they wouldn't want done to them.
The resolution says certain legislation that has been introduced in the Virginia General Assembly and has or may be introduced in the United States Congress could have the effect of infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. Public funds of the county shall not be used to aid in the unnecessary or unconstitutional restriction of the rights under the Second Amendment.
And yet, they're going to do it anyway. So making a law to protect a law that's already in place, like the shall not be infringed Second Amendment, is a ridiculous, unnecessary, and redundant law to begin with. What's the use of making a law if you have to write another law to protect the law you already made?
Tim Carter is the local sheriff and president of the Virginia Sheriff's Association.
I do think it does send a message to Richmond that rural counties feel like that their voice needs to be heard.
More than 100 of Virginia's 133 localities have passed similar measures. During the last election cycle, millions poured in from out-of-state groups to buy campaign ads hostile to gun rights.
And what we immediately saw from that was payback. We saw that we got New York-style anti-assault weapon type of bills proposed, pre-filed.
He's referring to bills that would ban many commonly used sporting rifles, controversial red flag laws.
Controversial red flag laws? How about despotic, unconstitutional, anti-liberty laws?
And legislation to restrict gun purchases, among others.
Folks, I will never, ever render my weapon.
Rural citizens are organizing against the coming wave.
The Second Amendment was not put in for hunting, as some people like to say. It was put in to defend against a tyrannical government.
Gun legislation is nothing more than a feel-good, politically motivated measure that won't fix the root causes of gun violence.
In this massive crowd, there was but one dissenter.
I can't help but think that the concept of anarchy might be closer to reality than we'd like to think.
This guy has no freaking idea what he's talking about. If you buy into the fake stream media spun definition of anarchy, you've been misled. We're all anarchists because none of us, not the sane ones anyway, none of us wants a ruler over us dictating our actions. Contrary to popular mainstream verbal heresy, anarchy isn't a masked band of violent raiders breaking windows and burning cars in the street. Anarchy simply means no rulers. No masters, no overlords. If you don't want a ruler, you're an anarchist. If you're okay with being ruled and made to live on your knees, begging your political overlords for mercy, then you're a statist. So what do you want to be? An anarchist or a statist? There's only two choices. You want freedom under voluntarism, or you want slavery under tyranny.
In a statement, Republican Congressman Ben Cline writes, "Your God-given liberties cannot be taken away by the actions of men. They can only be suppressed. Speak loudly and with one voice." But Democratic Virginia Senator Mark Warner suggests taking a breath and waiting to see what the legislature passes.
There may be disagreement, but I would hope, again, these communities would register their concerns, but then, I'm only going to support something that's going to be constitutional, but I do believe there are certain areas where the vast majority of Virginians, and I say this as somebody who owns firearms and believe that I'm a Second Amendment supporter, can find some common agreement.
I'm only going to agree to one thing, Mark. Shall not be infringed. Come at me with anything else, and you're my enemy.
Other Virginia Democrats in Congress have suggested the state cut off funding to sheriffs who don't enforce future laws.
Cut off funding? They shouldn't be funding a monopolized police force with extorted tax money anyway.
They've also floated the idea of having the governor call in the National Guard. The ordeal has fired up Trump supporters.
We have Trump fans coming from everywhere, and for some, for the first time, they say that they really want to vote Republican.
Some folks took the chance to publicly vent about Washington.
I was not appreciative of our last president, but I never did any of that garbage that they're doing. I let him do his job, whether I liked it or not. He did it, he left, it's someone else's turn. Get out of the way. Let our president do his job.
He let Obama do his job of being the figurehead bitch of Israeli foreign powers as he racked up the national debt, dropped more bombs than any president before him, shackled Americans with anti-freedom laws, and assumed the position of submissive lapdog. And now you want people to get out of Trump's way so he can continue being Israel's submissive little puppet, increasing the coffers of the military-industrial complex, positioning a Zionist banker in the Treasury Department, signing a $1.37 trillion spending package, approving red flag laws, and making all states comply with real ID. See, that's where our problem's been. We let presidents do their jobs. And it always amounts to losing our freedoms and losing our wealth.
There are questions about how far localities could go to defy state law, but these citizens want as many protections as possible. After all, constitutional challenges often take years to get resolved in court.
I think they've woken a sleeping giant in the whole state.
And as Democrats continue to push gun restrictions on a national level, we may see more and more Americans in rural communities just like this taking a stand.
Taking a real stand is doing what that one guy said. You're not taking our guns. End of discussion. Guys, like and share this video with everybody you know. If you did like this video, then you'll really like these two videos right here. Why not take a minute and check them out? Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, and leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comments section below. And I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.